So we are live now, Jessica. I want to thank the people for coming to view our channel tonight, and we're just gonna wait and see if how many people come in. My name is Sabiha. I am a KhoiSan girl from South Africa, and we started this channel so that we can introduce ourselves, the KhoiSan heritage. I am from South Africa, Cape Town. My co-host is also KhoiSan lady from Namibia. So she will introduce herself now. Jessica.
Thank you, Sabiha. Hi, everybody. I am Jessica from Namibia, a Khoisan proud woman representing Namibia. Thank you for going live on our channel, and I will give over to Sabiha to take it from here.
This is mostly to talk about the KhoiSan because we are a forgotten nation. Um, Throughout history, we have been forgotten, and yet our role in humanity and modern society plays such a big role. As some of you know, some of you don't know, the Khoisan has the oldest DNA group known to man. We are about 1,400 years. We've been in the southern tip of Africa. Um, my clan specifically was in a place called Constantia in Cape Town. That is where my native lands is, or my village was. And in South Africa, as most of you know, there was a system called apartheid, which came into play in the 1950s. And during this time, we were divided. Um, Khoisan one side, Bantus one side, whites one side, Indians one side. Our story will mostly speak about our African heritage and how the Khoi has shaped Africa. The Khoisan is a nation divided right now by the colonization of Southern Africa. Uh, to start off with, we are a nation that lived together in harmony. We were one with nature and we were one with God. I myself am a practicing Muslim. My co host Jessica is a practicing Christian, but our common trait is that we are Khoisan. I predominantly identify as a Khoi or Khoi, as some of the people pronounce us. Um, we have a rich history in Southern Africa, as I have said. We would just like to tell the people more about who we are, what we are, and where we come from. When we speak about the Khoi of South Africa, we are what many people don't know is that we are the first to be colonized in Africa. Um, the Portuguese first discovered us while trying to find a route, a spice route to India. Uh, like many of the travels, they stumbled upon nations, and our nation was one of them. This was before the colonization of the rest of Africa. They first stumbled upon, or they when they came to Southern Africa, they colonized us first. The Portuguese came here in 1503. We had a big civil fight, not a civil fight, we had a big fight going on with the Portuguese then. And thank God, in 1502, we drove them out of Southern Africa. Only for 100 years later, the Dutch, the Germans, and the English then came to our shores. And that is where things really started going wrong. My tribe, the Khorikokwa tribe, or I identify with the Khorikokwa tribe, live predominantly on the coast of Cape Town, Table Mountain, Kirstenbosch, Claremont, Constantia, Hout Bay. These were where most of our tribes were because there was the Liesbeek River ran right through that part of the Western Cape. And we were there for thousands of generations. I know personally of somebody who did DNA testing, and his DNA testing dated back to 34,000 years ago, which is when humanity was still at its infant stage, or modern humanity was still at its infant stage. We also have rock arts to prove that we were in southern parts of Africa all this time, as long as 1,400 years, 140,000 years ago, sorry. And right now, the KhoiSan is not even recognized as a tribe. We have no, although South Africa has 11 official languages, not one of those languages is the Khoi language. Our language, our culture, our heritage, who we are, was completely taken away from us. We were taught a new language. Most of us predominantly speak Afrikaans. We span from Botswana, Zimbabwe, Namibia, South Africa, even up until Angola, you find Khoisan people. Khoisan is a term that they use to cluster us all together. In the southernmost tip of Africa, which is South Africa, we identify as Khoi. And if you go to Botswana, Zimbabwe, Namibia, they identify as San. But my sister Jessica will elaborate more on that side of our people. But in essence, we are one people. The Khoi and the San are one people. Our DNA has proven that we are one people. Um, for a very long time, we've been struggling to let our voices be heard. We have been struggling to get representation. Most of our people live in poverty because we have been forgotten. Like most First Nations around the world, the Aborigines, the Indian Americans, um, even the natives of India, all the First Nations around the world seems to have been forgotten and lost, and yet we were the start of all civilizations. I am very proud because, according to history and DNA, scientific testing, Khoisan are the First Nation. We are the modern man. There were three race groups: the Mongoloids, the Negroids, and the Caucasians. We come from the Negro group, and we broke away what they say would be about 200,000 years ago. We broke away, made our way to southern Africa, to the tip, and then called ourselves Khoi. The meaning of Khoi means the people. So we identify as the people or men of men. Um, and so our tribes are called some type of people. My tribe, for example, are the people of the mountain. And then you also get the people of the cattle and the people of the ocean, but we all identify as the people. Khoisan history is the history of humanity, and that is why it is so important for us to tell the story of who we are, what we are, and what we represent. In essence, I believe we are the mother and the fathers of humanity. When they look at the Khoisan, they call us the modern man, those who first use fire utensils to cook food. We are hunter gatherers. We still are. Even today, you still get in the outskirts of our cities. You still get Khoisan who do sheep and goat herding. It is something we are very proud of. However, we have been neglected by history. We have been marginalized by politics, and most of the time they say we do not even exist. Most of our people don't even know that we exist, that we are Khoisan. During apartheid, before apartheid, in 1907, it was said during a census taken in Southern Africa that there are no more native or pure blood KhoiSan left. This was a horrible lie that was spread. It made us and others believe that we do not exist. And so we inherently inherited other people's cultures, other people's beliefs, other people's ideas. When the Europeans came, they came and disrupted our civilization. But we are here to reclaim it back because we are a proud nation. We are the beginning. We know who we are and we want to tell our story. I will give the floor to my co host, Naches. She's from Namibia, which is also part of the KhoiSan tribe. Um, After apartheid, Namibia was always part of Southern Africa. We used to call it Zuid-West Africa or Southwest Africa. But after apartheid ended, Namibia got the independence, or they asked for independence, and the independence was given. Um, but in essence, we are the same people. So I will give it over to Jess now.
Yeah, my sister Sabiha already said so much that is familiar. Most of what she said is familiar of what happened here in Namibia. I was surprised to just find out recently that our Khoisan people, the San to be exact, um, which make us one at the end of the day, our Oshiherero people also resided in the southern part of Namibia. And
Mm,
this is so interesting because for me to be a Namibian, a proud Namibian woman, I have to know my history. And it's so important for me to know my history. And the reason why we decided to have this podcast live is because we want to bring a broader message through to our people over the world that, like she said, that we don't only exist within Namibia in South Africa, but also there's a broader there's broader continents where we are coming from. Like I spoke recently with a friend from the United States of America,
mm,
and it's so interesting that I think I'm speaking under correction that at the far south of America you will also find a specific tribe that comes from the Khoisan. So I'm so delighted to be the one to bring this message closer to my people and to bring my people together, closer together to each other, because this is just for our greater good. We have to come back to where we are coming from. We have to embrace from where we are coming from.
yes.
We have to live our lives according to how our ancestors lived. Although we parted along the way and we were scattered all over the world, we learn different traditions. We adapt on different traditions. But our bloodline shows us that we are one.
Yes.
So I want to come back to the Sun people. I did a little bit of research, and my sister Sabiha here, she's more enlightened in that sense. But I will try and to say what I experienced during this few weeks of my research that I did on the Khoisan people. I our KhoiSan people are coming from the far east side, I mean the far south side of Namibia, where they were hunter gatherers. They live mostly they lived in the desert, in the Kalahari desert.
Mm.
Most of them
Mm.
reside. And I just watched a video this afternoon about a certain root that they eat for them to stay like
So that you
when
don't
they
get
get
hungry.
hungry.
Yes, the
Yes,
Udia, the Udia, the Udia.
the
Yes, the
media.
Udia put us on the
Yes,
map.
yes.
Yes,
So for me, it was so interested because I was looking for this route like a few months ago,
yes,
and today I came across this video, and I was thinking, these people are some amazing people, but they're also the most forgotten people.
yes.
And how should we go about to bring us back? What should we do to bring them back into civilization?
Mm.
But then I was also thinking that we cannot bring these people back because these people are living authentic wherever they
Yes,
are.
yes,
They live
yes,
peaceful. They don't need this life that we are living where we feel rushed. They live their own true selves. They live on who they are. And
yes.
I want to really know more about the Sun people. And I would love to give my sister Sabiha the floor to give us more insight on these people. Like I said, she's the my co-host, and she is the one that knows more broader about these people. And I ask humble for your. I apologize humbly, but thank you for coming live on the show. And I promise you that on the way forward, we will. I will have more to tell you on Namibia. But for now, I just wanted to introduce myself in our podcast and thank you once again. And I ask humble apologies. Thank you, Mr.
Yes,
Biha.
it is so interesting. It is really interesting because although we know a lot about our history and our people and where we come from, we still know so little. We still know so little. South Africa, southern part of Africa, um, has come under tremendous assault from Europe. Like I said, we were the first nation to be colonized, which most do not know. Most people know about the Nigerian colonization, what happened in the Congo, what happened in Rwanda, Somalia. Ethiopia is one of the few, well, I think it's the only nation on the continent who was not colonized. Everywhere else was colonized. And and when they did that, especially to us, the First Nation of Africa, the KhoiSan, when they did it to us, like they did with most First Nations, they annihilate. Um, there was an order given. So in when the Germans came to Namibia, they found that there was more, as well as South Africa, they found that there was more people than there were cattle. So to them, this was uh, uh,
Wow.
uh, amazing. How can this be? There
Yes.
is more livestock than there are human beings. And so we started trading with them. They gave us little trinkets like copper and a little something that whatever they had, and we gave them sheep and water or goats and water. And for the most part, we were very hospitable with these people. But when the Germans came, there was a lieutenant. Now I'm going to butcher some of these German names because I'm not getting my tongue. just doesn't seem to want to work that way. But I'm going to try and um, pronounce his name proper. I'm just trying to get the information on his name. But when he came, when this general came, he gave an extermination order. Now, when one thinks of an extermination order, it means complete annihilation. And what many don't know was this happened between 1904 and 1908. And Jessica here, she is one. It was her tribe and another tribe. There were two tribes that they went after because where those tribes were, where their villages were the highest concentration and still is the highest concentration of diamonds in Namibia. And so they needed to get them off. As a matter of fact, even today, sometimes, these people go and they go on the walks on the dunes. They come back and they come with three diamonds in their hands and they say, "Oh, we just found it on the dunes." This is how
Mm,
rich the South is in
yes.
diamonds, that you can walk on the dunes and find diamonds laying there. When this was heard, the Germans said complete annihilation and an extinction of the Herero and the Nama tribe. The Nama tribe spans from southern Africa, right from the Namaqua lands, which is in southern Africa, right through Namibia up until the north of Namibia. Not a lot in the north, mostly in the south. And when they did the extermination, they made sure that we forgot our history. Like I said, they forgot they made us forget our heritage. The first genocide, the first Holocaust that the Germans performed was not in Germany. The first Holocaust that they performed was in Namibia, where more than 80% of the Herero nation was murdered. More than 50% of the Nama nation was murdered. They were almost completely extinguished. As for the Most High, who kept them safe. And because of this, most people don't know. And then, as we all know, history is written by the conqueror. So whoever writes the history is the one who tells the story, is the one that we believe. San and Khoi people have never really been people who write things down. In our history and in our line, we are taught that we relay messages through our DNA, through our memory. When we birth our children, this is just a belief that the Khoi have. When we birth our children, our past history passes on to them. So my great grandmother passes her history on to my grandmother through DNA and memory and the act of childbirth. And then my grandmother to my mother, and from my mother to me. And that is always how we remembered history. Also, we are oral people. We are more speakers than writers. We are also more drawers. We are very artistic people. And so, if you come to southern tip of Africa, you will see that we have rock art, the Bushman, the Khoi, the Sun. We use rock art to express ourselves, to communicate. We use song and dance and not really written forms. And this is something that really impacted us because there was no written history of us. And so our conquerors or those who defeated us wrote our history. Um, we are here to put back that history. Uh, thank God through science and men of intellect and women of intellect. They have traced our roots and a lot of our culture and a lot of our heritage. They have traced it. And we are now beginning to learn again who we are and what we are. In South Africa, right now, we are called colored. In Namibia, we are called colored. And most Khoi people are very proud to be called colored. They say they identify as colored. What they do not know is this is a derogatory term given to a people without land, without laws. And even today, I have to, when I apply for anything, when I want to open a bank account, when I want to apply for a job, when I want to, whatever I want to do, I want to open a shopping account, a retail store account, I have to still tick colored. In
Sure.
2023, after apartheid has ended almost 30 years ago, I, as a Khoi girl, still have to tick the box that says my derogatory term, colored. When I think about it, I get very emotional, Jess, to think that in this day and age, not only me, but those that are younger than me, the younger generation, our children, they must still be colored as well. And they do not understand that being colored means that you are without a land and without laws and without rights. And yet we say it proudly, I'm colored. What they do not, what the indoctrination was so well spun here in the southern
Yes.
tip of
Yes.
Africa
Yes.
that we do not know that there are other colored nations. We are not the only one. They named the Aborigines colored. Wherever they found people with brown skin, people of all First Nations at least, most First Nations are called colored because they wanted it, because the First Nations are the ones who have the roots. We are the root of every nation. In Africa, we are the root of all the other nations that come. As a matter of fact, we can go as far as to say we are the root for all nations. The KhoiSan is the root for all nations, yet nobody knows about us, and we are treated still as second-class citizens. In South Africa right now, if you are a Khoi, you have very little chance of of uh, of getting work even just because you tick that colored box.
Mm. Yes.
Our people live in impoverishment. They are impoverished.
Mm.
Namibia, South Africa, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Zambia, all of us who identify as native, who identify as First Nation, we are all living very impoverished lives because we are the forgotten nation. We are not even recognized. Like I said, in South Africa, we have 11 official languages, and not one of those languages is a Khoi language. There was a law in South Africa, not a law, but there was a practice in South Africa which was called Bushmanjag. Bushmanjag translated means hunting of the Bushmen. And this was a practice that happened once a year. So after dark, if a Khoi person was outside, we were shot and killed on the spot. If our mothers tried to teach us our native tongue, the Boer or the slave master, as they would call it in other parts of the world. We call them Boers because they were Dutch. Boers just mean farmer or those who farm. They were farmers when they came here or they started farming, the Boers. They used to have holes in their backyards. If your child was seen displaying any type of Khoi behavior, the Khoi language, your child was shot and dumped in the backyard of the Boers' premises. Stolen premises, nonetheless, but premises.
Mm.
And so
Yes.
we were taught to not speak our language. We are the click sound, so we make click sounds. And Our click sounds differ somewhat between Namibia and South Africa, but it's predominantly the same. Minor details, small details. And one that I particularly remember is when I was upset or when I didn't want to do something as a child, naturally I would make this sound. And every time I make the sound, my mother would come and say, "Don't do that. It's an ugly thing
mm,
to do." What she did not realize was is actually a word in our language.
mm,
It expresses an emotion. And so, even to express an emotion in your native tongue was seen as um, reason to be killed. And so, when we spoke our native tongue and our parents heard it, especially our mothers, we would get a hiding.
mm.
Don't
Yes.
do that. Don't say that. And so, the the practice was passed down generation after generation without us even knowing why we don't like to hear our own sounds and why we are being scolded for using our own sounds. But I am positive, I have such um, great admiration for our people. I say we are like there is a plant in that grows in the southern part of Africa. It's called the aloe. It's got a thick, it's got a thick leaf, and in the leaf is juice. And if you cut the leaf open, the juice runs out. But this plant can grow in the most harshest terrain. It does not need a lot of water, it does not need a lot of sustenance, but it grows. I think of the KhoiSan as that. We are
Mm,
like the aloe. It doesn't matter where we
mm,
are and what conditions are and how harsh it is. We will
yes.
strive to survive. And so we have. Um, Jessica, in Namibia, we spoke about this not too long ago, about the Hereros and what happened to them. And your mother is an Herero, am I right?
My father is actually Herero.
Your father is Herero.
Yeah.
Can you explain a bit?
My mother is from the KhoiSan from South Africa, to be exact, Somerset West.
Wow, I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Wow, I didn't
Yeah.
know
So
that.
my father is a Herero. He was a proud Herero man from Okakarara in the Onjos Don Jupa region.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And we are known we are known for farming.
Yes,
We are
yes,
known for farming, and we have our strong ancestral beliefs as well,
yes, yes,
which we follow. And I had a relationship with my father before he died, but I could always ask him about my tradition and where I'm coming from. So they have the tribe, the Oshiherero, which is the Ovahimba. The Ovahimba people are also they're also part of the Oshiherero tribe.
yes,
Yeah, so within the Oshiherero people, there's different um I don't know how to put it, but it's like you get the Herero people with a red flag and those ones with a green flag.
yes,
So they also
yes,
have different types of culture or different ways of things that they do.
yes,
And I learned from my father that when they celebrate, for instance, when they celebrate for a wedding,
yes, yes,
when they celebrated for a wedding, all of the men will sit one side and all of the women will sit one side.
mm,
And
mm,
then they
mm.
will make discussions. But it's now families from both sides. They will
Yes.
come together as one. They will have tents that they will put up, and then there's one fire that they make. And there's one thing I want to share with people, of course, outside of Namibia. I think most of the Herero people won't like this, but yeah.
We're going to say
Um,
a lot of things. We are going to say a lot of things that a lot of people are not going to like,
yeah,
Jessica.
yeah. So my
Yeah.
father shared with me when they get married, their cousin, like when a man gets married, his
Yes.
cousin
Yes.
get to sleep with him before he sleep with his wife that he's marrying.
Wow. Right, right, right,
Yeah, and
right.
so when
What
they
was the
comes
reason?
like
What was the reason?
the reason was when what I've learned from him, I cannot remember so far, but
Yes.
what he told me, some of what he told me was that when he sleep with his cousin, so
Yes.
when he goes now with his wife after sleeping with his cousin, he goes with his wife, and there
Yes.
comes marital problems in the far future,
Yes.
and then the wife will perhaps complain that the man that her husband doesn't please her in the bedroom.
Right, right.
Yeah. Then the elders will call in that specific cousin that slept with her husband with her cousin to testify whether this is correct or not. So that's
Wow.
the reason. That's one of the reasons why this
Yes.
is
So
now a
it
custom.
was always done. I find that we always do things to preserve the nation, to preserve. So we put things in place, like for example, the practice that the Herreros does now. To me, it sounds as if you are securing, not only you are securing the female's position to say, listen, there's nothing wrong with her.
Yes.
Yes, 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 right. Sorry, Jess. Yeah, continue. Sorry.
Yeah. So that is basically all I can remember about that. And there were so many traditions that I was amazed of because when he I met my I was small when I met my grandmother. I was obviously already with my father, so I went to the farm, and the way that they bless you
Yes.
was, for me, it was out of this world. I was amazed by it. My
Mm.
other
Was this
cousins
the
didn't
first time
think
you
that.
had gone to the tribe?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, that was the very first time. And she would like say some words in her traditional tongue, and
Yes.
then she will take water and drink it, and then she will drink it and she will spit it on the ground, and she will drink and say these words, and then she will spit me in the face. And
Yes.
I
Yes.
was like,
Yes.
wow,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
For me, it was very unique. My other
Mm.
cousins didn't like it, the spitting in the face, but
Mm.
for me,
Mm.
it was something extraordinary.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I wanted to ask Sabiha
Mm.
about your ancestral land, Constantine,
Constantia.
Constantia. About your ancestral land, Constantia. Are you people still residing there, or some of you people?
Out of the thousands of people that lived in Constantia, out of the thousands of families that lived on the mountain, that has cultivated the mountain, I just want to say one thing quickly. I had an aunt that lived till about 109 years old. And one day my cousin asked her, how long? have our people been on the mountain? If she can remember. And she says, as long when she opened her eyes, we were on the mountain.
Yeah.
When she opened her eyes, we were on the mountain. When apartheid came in, there was a law that was passed that the easiest way to say segregation. Like I said, KhoiSan people were put in one place, white people were put in one place, Indians, and then Bantus. The KhoiSan was in the Western Cape, there was very few Bantus. Their tribes are not here. The Bantu tribes are mostly in East London or Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal. That's where Shaka Zulu is. Most people know about Shaka Zulu, KwaZulu-Natal. Um, but in Cape Town, we were all along, our tribe, the Gorigokwa tribe, was all along the southern coast. And when apartheid came, those areas were sought after areas. Those areas were obviously our tribes would go where there's water, they would settle where there is food, where they can either farm or hunt or raise cattle. These were the things that our tribes did to survive. In Constantia, most were farmers. My grandfather was a flower farmer in Constantia. As a matter of fact, when I was a child, we still sold flowers. It was a lot of our Khoi people are tradesmen. And so after apartheid, the Group Areas Act was put in place, and thousands of us had to leave Constantia. So to answer your question, Jess, there's only one man left in Constantia that is originally from Constantia. And I asked him one day, Uncle, how did your family manage to stay here when everybody else was forcibly removed? He said to me, when the Boers came, the police came to take you out of your house. So what they would do is they would come with guns. They would walk into your house. They would stand while you packed all your belongings together. There was transport outside. You pack your own belongings onto the transport and then they ship you to wherever. So you weren't even sure where you were about to go. At that moment, you must pack, the children must pack, you must grab whatever you can. It's not like they give you 3, 4 days to get everything together. They give you that moment. You pack everything on the truck and there you go. We were mostly shipped to the Cape Flats in Cape Town. But Constantia, only one family was left. And this uncle said to me, when they came to evict them, every time the police came to evict them, the white regime came, the white racist apartheid regime came, uh, he would tell them, shoot me dead. Shoot me
Mm.
dead, shoot my children dead, shoot my wife dead, you shoot us dead. But we are not
Yes.
leaving. Another thing I think that played an important part of why they could keep their premises, because they lived right next door to my home where my mother grew up, my grandmother, my mother, my grandfather, his mother, and so on and so forth. They lived right next door, but they had a shop, which was the only shop available in Constantia at that time. So he was the only one where they could get supplies. And so they said, right, you can keep it because the shop is still going today. If people go to Constantia, you must go to Constantia Neck and ask for Uncle Dowd and say Sabeka sent you and talk to Uncle Dowd. He loves talking about our history. Uncle Dowd always mentions that there were no fences ever in Constantia. our properties were quite big. We owned hectares of land, and um, my family adopted Islam as a
Yeah.
religion.
Yes.
And when we used to go to mosque, he says, they used to just run through everybody's yards. There was no fences, and you would get to your destination. He says he thinks he misses that the most, that he cannot walk freely in Constantia anymore. There's so many petitions now because the Europeans that came who inhabited the place, I'm just going to speak frankly, like all thieves, you protect because you are a thief, and so you are scared what you stole will be stolen back.
Yes.
We were not afraid that anybody was going to take our property because we are a honest people. Also, another thing about Khoi that I am so proud of is how we love our people. And I think that is why we made this channel, Jess, because we want to show people how much we love our people and how proud we are and that we are still here.
Yes.
Um, so Constantia is now a white area. It is also one of the richest areas in South Africa. The houses, a property can go up to, it starts from as little as 25 million rand.
Sure.
Um, yeah, that would be about 5 to 6 million US dollars if you want to buy just a normal house in Constantia. And we owned hectares of property. Interesting, my grandparents' property, the houses, both the houses that they built on the property. So the property spans quite big. So my great grandmother lived on the front, in the front house, on the property. And then my grandfather, when he got married to my grandmother, he built a house at the back of the property, still the same property, but where his mother is and where his new family, him and his family is. And then his brother built just further down. That house is still standing today, Jess. It is one of the only homes in Constantia that survived.
Sure.
And I think there's a reason why the house survived all these years.
Of
Um,
course.
yes, for some reason, it is now seen as a heritage site. Very interesting. This was just a normal house. It wasn't. There is a. So you got my grandparents' property and the house. It's right on the main road. Then you get Uncle Dula's shop. His shop is still there. There's now a little coffee shop next to it that he's renting out. Um, there's a lady that sells flowers still in front. We are a lot of people from Constantia are flower traders, and the tradition has gone on. And so there's a lady that stands in front of the coffee shop, still selling flowers up to today. And she's also a native. Her family is also native to Constantia. And then next to him was a post office police station, which I would have assumed would become a heritage site. It was also sort of a jail at the back, Uncle Dilla explained, but nobody ever got arrested. There was nobody ever in the jail. But there was 3 cells at the back of the police station. And they did not make this a heritage site, yet they chose to make my grandparents' property a heritage site and to preserve the property. The other thing about KhoiSan that I think people must know is that we've always believed in the one God. We used to call it in South Africa our namas and our Gorigokwas, the Griekwas, all these. We used to call it the great one. We used to call God the great one in the sky, and we always searched for God, the one God. And so when Islam came to South Africa, when Christianity came to South Africa, predominantly KhoiSan are either Christian or Muslim. These are
Yeah.
the two major religions in the southernmost tip of Africa. But I
Yeah.
think the reason why we believe these two religions we really embraced it, it's because it always spoke about the one God. the
Mm.
God of the heavens, the God of the universe. And that is something the
Yes.
KhoiSan believed in. Always. We believe in the one God. Another reason why we started this channel, Jess, as we've spoken, is to remind the people of God, the one God. Um,
Absolutely.
so when we talk, I would like our audience to remember whenever we talk, we will refer back to God or the one God or blessings from God. We say to one another, blessings from God
Yes.
or
Yes.
God willing. Yes, God is always on our tongues.
Yes.
And so I think it's because of the grace of God that my grandparents' property survived. There's actually a couple from I don't know if I ever told you, Jess, my mother, before she died, she wanted to go back to her house in Constantia to see it one more time. She was getting old and sick, and by that time things
Mm.
were going, she was leaving this plane. And she asked my brother to drive it to her house, and he did. And the house is still there. And right now, there's a couple from the UK, a British couple living in the house. And my mother explained to them that this is the house she grew up in. This is a parents' house. This was a parents' land, grandparents, great grandparents. Um, they then asked her, when did you sell? When did you move? And my mother looked at them and said, we never sold. We were forcibly removed. The property was taken away from us. And these
Mm.
British people stood in great shock at the thing my mother was telling them. Um, she explained a little what happened during apartheid and in Constantia. And this wasn't 300 years ago. This wasn't 100 years ago, Jess. This was 50 years ago when they were forcibly removed from their land. People who have lived there for thousands of years. Um, the house still looks the same. Just Yeah, just saying, my mother said the house still looked the same. I wasn't with my brother took her. Um, but when they were removed from the house, yes, a lot of families, a lot of people couldn't, um, they couldn't handle it. They couldn't handle being taken away from the land. I know my mother spoke of my grandfather feeling responsible for losing the land that his father and his father and his father cultivated and nourished. And so 6 months after they were forcibly removed and put on the Cape Flats, my mother said when they got to where they were going to live now, it looked like horse stables. It was a one bedroom, outside bathroom, a kitchen, and a living room, a dining room. And
I
so
think
coming
most
from,
houses,
yes, yes,
sorry for that. Most houses were having the outside toilets.
yes, yes, yes,
Yes, all over Africa.
all
It
over
was in
Africa, yes,
Namibia. In Namibia,
yes,
it was also like that.
yes, yes. We never went in
Sorry.
the toilet in our homes. Yes, yes. And to come from such a vast abundance as Constantia, I would like for our audience to also maybe go and research Constantia so that you can see where I come from and where my tribe specifically. 6 months after they threw them in this desolate place, my grandfather passed away. My mother says he passed away of a broken heart. They took away his livelihood. They took away his very soul. A lot of I feel like what happened to us was them trying to take away our very souls, to destroy us. But the great one in the sky has other plans, and so we are here. And so we are
Yeah,
grateful. Yes.
yeah, yes. So I would like to add something about our God.
Yes.
As my co-host Sabiha said, that you will always find us talking about God because God is in us.
Yes.
We are one with God.
Yes.
Before the Antichrist, I may say this,
Mm,
but
mm, mm,
before the Antichrist crossed the waters
mm.
to come and interrupt the peaceful lives that our ancestors had.
Yes. Yes.
And with peaceful, I mean our ancestors lived authentic.
Mm, mm,
They lived
mm,
close to God
mm, mm.
because they believed in one powerful being. And when I
Yes.
say God, I'm not talking about a face,
Mm,
I'm talking about spirit, about the universe.
mm, mm, mm.
Our ancestors, there was no need for them to live in poverty because those ones, the great, I always tell my children, they were great. We are greater, but
Amen.
you will be the greatest of us all.
Amen.
But because the
Amen.
next generation will come and implement, they will come and implement. So
Yes.
our
Yes.
ancestors, they worked, they worked smart, not hard.
Yes.
They
Yes.
lived, they lived in a land that for us, we are being told that we have to live right now to go to a land of milk and honey. We were deceived.
Mm,
While our
mm,
ancestors lived in lands that had milk and honey, they lived smart,
mm,
they worked smart. They didn't work hard, they worked smart. They had everything, like my co-host Sabiha said. The cattle were more than the people. They live
in essence,
abundant.
we were a rich nation. We were a very rich
Yes,
nation. Yes.
yes. They lived abundant people. Wake up, know
Mm,
thyself, own
amen.
thyself.
Yes.
You are because they were and they are. We must be an example to our children, my people.
Yes. Yes.
When COVID happened, the whole world came to a standstill.
Mm,
We were forced to reflect.
yes.
We
Yes.
were forced to be still because the
Yes.
universe was supposed to reset
Yes.
because we went too far.
Yes.
We went too
Yes.
far.
Mm, mm. We've gone too far. And so this is a period of reset. This is a period of judgment. This is where the tables turn. I think most of the also another thing about KhoiSan people, we are very psychic people. When the Europeans first met us, they said that we do black magic, like they do to most
Yes,
Africans. Yeah,
yes,
yeah, like black magic because we speak things into existence. I say you can go anywhere in Africa, you flick a seed, it sprouts up and it grows.
yeah,
Because that is who we are. That is what our land is. We call our land Mother Africa. And so we and Mother are rich in abundance. We can survive and flourish anywhere in the world, except except in our native lands.
yes.
And that is a problem.
Yes.
So, Jess, it's been an hour. So, we are going to wind down the show now. It's been very interesting. I hope the audience has enjoyed it. I hope um, that people find truth, knowledge, even comfort in our words. Um, the KhoiSan are healers by nature, by design. We are healers. I myself am a healer. I practice healing. So does my sister. We have other work too, but we practice healing. It just so happened that I went into a medical field, and so my spiritual healing and my occupation went hand in hand. But my family are all in some type of medicine. We are all healers, and so we want to heal the nation, the people. KhoiSan, you have called yourself Khoi and San, which means the people. We are the people. We are the First Nation. We are the first amongst First Nations. We are the beginning. And right now the world is in turmoil. Most of us can feel it because Khoisan people are in tune with the earth.
Mm.
In a later episode, we will talk about that and, and,
Yes.
and show a bit of rock art and explaining
Yes.
how we knew about God and how we
Yes.
believed in the one God long before
Yes.
any of these religions ever came to our shores.
Yes.
And that we are not colored. This is a derogatory term. Out of
Mm.
everything, this is the one thing I really want people to know. We are not colored. We are Khoisan. We are the first man. We are the first Homo sapiens. We have the oldest DNA. We believe in God, and we have before religions were ever formed. Before there was Egypt, before there was Jordan, before there was Israel, there was Khoisan.
Mm.
Any parting words, Jess?
I just want to say thank you, viewers, for your time, and let's take hands and do this. Leave a comment for us,
Yes.
and we will be back with
Good.
more of what happened tonight and what was said tonight. I thank you again once more for your time.
Amen. 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 I will reiterate what my co-host Jess has said. We want this to be a place of peace, a place of healing, a place of understanding, a place where people can come and learn. For many years, we've been silenced, and we cannot be silenced anymore because we are Khoisan. We are the
Mm.
people. Okay.
Okay.
I bid you a good night, Jess, and whoever is watching this, leave a comment, ask us questions. Khoisan love talking. It is one thing we love to do. We can talk forever. Ons kan jou, we can, and also the language that we mostly speak in Southern Africa, the Khoisan is Afrikaans.
Mm.
And it is because our tongue was taken away, we were taught to speak Afrikaans. And so we sometimes we mix it even up. We mix the English
Yeah.
with the Afrikaans. Yeah. But ask us questions. What do you want to know? Um, do you agree with us on certain topics? Even if you disagree, let us know. We're always
Yes.
open for discussion. Yes.
Yes.
And we come in peace. So do not be afraid to speak your mind and to ask questions
Yes,
because we
please.
come in peace. Amen.
Amen.
Right, Jessica. Right, viewers. Thank you for joining us tonight. And our next live will be um, next week, Tuesday. Um, I will be putting up links and also a reminder on the channel that for next Tuesday and when we will be going live again to discuss the KhoiSan, our nature, our heritage, our faith, our way of life, and that we are still alive and that we are still here. Amen.
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 Thank you. Thank you, Madam DJ.
Ah, is DJ on?
Sending you love and light.
Amen. 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 Thank you, DJ. And we'll speak again. Thank you, viewers. Thank you, audience. Bye. Bye, Jess.
Bye.